I just acquired a boring business and filmed everything. Not a franchise, not a startup, a real cash flowing business most people would overlook. This wasn't something fancy, not a B2B SaaS chat GPT wrapper, not something here to disrupt the market, just a good, humble, solid part of the market that you wouldn't think of normally. This is the full journey, start to finish. If you've ever wanted to get ownership in your first real business, this is how it actually happens. So I'm going to say something a little bit crazy here, but if you stick around and watch this entire video, you're going to understand how you could get equity in a real legitimate big cash flowing business without using your own money or using very minimal amounts of your own money, just by really working hard and showing value and using your skills and the things that you've learned in your career so far to carve your path in and really find a way to do it. I'm going to take you on a journey from the beginning, how it started, to the very end of this private equity deal that we did in a really typical, average, everyday kind of way, without being one of these big Wall Street types that went to school for it or has all these fancy connections. Just you, an everyday person off the street, just like me, with some business experience and some know-how, how you can do one of these small private equity deals and really earn into a company in a way that you didn't really think was possible. Just by getting to know this business owner, providing a whole shit ton of value on the front end, and really carving out a space for ourselves in this company as future operators that it really needed to be able to grow to the level that it needed to grow to. I'm going to talk to you about like what the negotiations looked at each stage, how it all kind of came together, and just what it looked like from the front to the back. So I'm in the middle of this really big deal for us with our private equity firm. And the way that we're going about this is actually a lot different than most private equity firms go about doing these acquisitions. Hopefully this deal goes through, but it hasn't yet. Hopefully I can document it kind of from the beginning to the end. So we're not at the very beginning right now. First, I've got to take you back to the beginning of how this deal came together, kind of catch you up on how we got here and how we started. And as this video goes on, if you stick to the end, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how this deal got closed. So first, let me catch you up on where we're at now. The way that we met this business owner initially is we are running a cold email campaign that goes out to just about 75 people a day. We're still running a campaign in a different industry right now, but this was emailing people in the local area that are business owners that of the types of businesses that we want to acquire. So we ran one to all of the HVAC businesses in the area. And we had a response one day from the owner of a local air duct cleaning company. And so this guy responded. We ended up getting on a phone call, literally just a voice phone call, talked for probably a half an hour about his business and the fact that he was kind of interested in selling it. And so what we decided to do is we decided to set a meeting in person here in town. So we met and discussed his business a little bit more. So this meeting was myself, the business owner, and my business partner, Grant. And so we talked a little bit about, his plans for the business going forward. He let us know he was interested in retiring in a few years. So he was wanting to sell the business. And then we started talking a little bit about the history of the business in the last few years and everything. He had a couple down years, but then the year before actually went really well and was very profitable. The business was doing well and growing really fast. And so it made a little bit of sense, but it didn't quite make sense yet. The reason for that is usually when we buy a business or we look to buy a business, we have to assess its profitability based on the last 3 years average more than just the most recent year, especially if there was years that weren't profitable or were lower profit. We have to look at it as, the most recent year, even if it went really well, that could have been a fluke. There could have been extenuating circumstances or something like that. When we actually looked at his business and we're kind of assessing it, that's what we realized. And what we told him at the time is we said, hey, for your goals, getting out of this thing, what it would be valued at right now probably doesn't make a lot of sense for you. It's probably a little early for us to be talking. And so let's keep in touch and just kind of stay on this. And that's where we thought it was going to leave off. But we had a surprise at the end of the meeting, and we had been talking to him about some of our businesses. Myself and Grant were both talking to him about our past business experience and businesses we had run in the past and businesses we're running now. And Grant was telling him about his traveling sales team in one of his businesses and all of his sales experience. So this business owner told us at the end, he said, well, hey, even though it doesn't sound like we're going to do something now, what I would be interested in is some kind of sales consulting. So Grant and I do these types of advisory packages if business owners are looking for them. They need help with some particular thing that we've had success with in our businesses before, or that we think that we can help them with for some reason. So what we ended up doing is we went and put a package together for him based on what he was asking. He wanted some sales training, some help just on creating a little bit of a sales system. And he had brought on a couple new employees that were going to be involved directly in the sales. of the business. So he wanted us to be able to just refine that better and get them more prepared. So we started this sales engagement that was going to last about a month. Now, this business is in town where we're at. So we were actually able to go into the office and work directly with the team. And what we found very quickly is it wasn't really a sales problem that they had. It was an organizational issue. Like the entire organization was just kind of messy, and the way it was set up was very disorganized, a lot of lack of role clarity and all kinds of stuff going on. And it'll probably be another video where I cover all that stuff. If it's out already, I'll link it up here. But what started as just a sales engagement became an entire operational turnaround of this business. So we were in this business for a month. We ended up just deciding to under promise and over deliver and really go above and beyond to do right by this business and help them. So we analyzed their profit and loss statements. We looked at their CRM. We ended up redesigning almost everything in the way that it worked. We cut out a lot of unnecessary expenses, built a whole sales system for their people, and really honed in what everyone was supposed to be doing. And long story short, at the end of this engagement, something really, really awesome happened that I will explain in just a second. But we got really, really into this business. We got our hands dirty, helped them to get turned around. And I cover it way more in depth in a video linked right above if you want to check it out. But if you have an established business that needs this kind of help, our advisory firm Scale for Sale takes on a few very hands-on clients at a time where you can work directly with Grant and I or one of our operators on our website. You could book a call to see if you qualify for this kind of help at the link in the description. But to take away the suspense about what happened next in this story, we ended up talking to the owner again, and he said, well, hey, I actually would really love for you guys to stay involved, whatever that looks like. It didn't really make a ton of sense for us to do that same level of work for how much we would have to charge him if we were going to be, doing that same level of work and charging what we were really worth for our time. So we got to talking, and what we realized made some sense was for us to just go ahead and have some of the equity of the business. And so our first proposal was we proposed a couple different options for him to continue the contract. Some of them were just direct pay for consulting, but we kind of had an inkling that it wasn't going to make a lot of financial sense for him to pay in just straight consulting for us, that it probably wouldn't really just make sense for the business as a business decision. So we gave him that option anyway, though. Then there's a couple other options that involved us getting equity in different forms. And so we figured, okay, well, we'll work in the business and kind of earn into owning part of the business to have an incentive to help you out. And so we got to talking, we sat down and had a lunch and really discussed this. And the ask that he had, which was totally reasonable, is that he wanted us to at least buy into some of the business, to actually own some of it. So he took our proposal. We brought like a printed out paper proposal. He took it back and took about a week and a half or two to mark it up, make some notes on it. And he actually came up with a counter proposal. So then I had another meeting with him. I sat down, had lunch with him, and kind of talked it out, got an update on how the business was going too. I was really pleased to find out that he said because of a lot of the consulting work that we did over the month that we worked in the business, they were booked out multiple weeks in advance, like literally overwhelmed with work in the best possible way, just working on hiring enough people to handle that workload. And so what we did really, really helped. And so he was just more and more reinforced in wanting us as operating partners in some facet. So the counter proposal that he brought back was for us to buy in about 5% of the company, but only have to actually buy 10% of it and then earn in the rest by hitting different milestones and performance caps and things like that we agreed on ahead of time. So then that kind of left the question of, okay, well, how are we valuing the business? So at this particular stage where we're at right now, we're going to have another meeting when my business partner, Grant, gets back into town to really figure out what method we're using to put a value to this business, dig in a little bit deeper and actually figure out what we need to pay for that 10% that we're buying in with. And if we can agree on numbers and it makes sense financially for us, what we'll do is we'll actually probably bring in an investor for that 10% equity injection. Now, whether they'll get exactly 10% or not, we'll see. That might not make a lot of sense. There might be some other arrangement where maybe they don't have equity, maybe they have some kind of return, probably something like that. Those details are to be worked out. But what we'll do is we'll bring in an investor for that percent of cash needed to inject into this and effectively earn our way into this business without bringing money out of our own pocket. And so that's kind of like how this private equity deal is coming together. A lot of times these private equity deals are full buyouts, and this is probably going to become that eventually. But the reason we're starting with a smaller buyout is he's just not quite ready to let go of the reins entirely. He's got a few more years that he wants to run this thing and grow this thing. and really get a bigger value out of it. But we would like to be into the business initially to help him get there a little bit faster, just because we really liked him, like the team, and like what they're doing. And we see a lot of potential in it. There's a lot of things they aren't doing that we think can unlock much bigger growth and resources that we can very easily bring in from our side that will help them get there a lot faster, just based on things they're not doing. So I'm super excited about this. It's really crazy just how this all came together. But I'll keep you updated just as it gets further along the road and we kind of get further into this thing. Why is this business card in my hand right now? I just got out of a meeting where I was meeting with the business owner that we are looking to buy part of his duct cleaning business, and also his neighbor who owns another business that is an HVAC business. So one of them does duct cleaning and everything kind of surrounding that, mostly for commercial clients, some residential, more and more residential too. This other one does a little bit of commercial and a little bit of residential, but HVAC work, actual like installing, repairing, maintaining actual HVAC, like AC units and heating. And so these are two totally different companies, but I'll tell you a little bit about why this meeting happened and why it came together. The reason I went to this meeting with these two guys is the owner of this air duct cleaning company that we're working on buying part of. We haven't bought it yet. We are in negotiations at this point, like I told you. But the owner of the air duct cleaning company came to us and told us that his neighbor is thinking about retiring and wants to sell his HVAC company. So there's an opportunity for us to acquire this business through the air duct cleaning company. The air duct cleaning company is about 2 times the size from a revenue standpoint and has a lot more people in it. Kind of has the infrastructure to be able to acquire something and grow with it, but it's not doing any HVAC work right now. And this HVAC company is doing almost no duct cleaning, really no duct cleaning work on its own. So there's this huge opportunity for the two of them to cross-sell services if they were just one company. But they're not one company yet. And this guy wants to retire. He wants to sell out. And so we were meeting with him to get an idea of what that would look like, what his numbers are, how the company is set up, where the opportunities are, and what he would need if we were to buy it. And so this is really cool. I don't know if we'll end up buying this company or not, but the standing offer on the table right now is for us to buy into this air duct cleaning company and earn all the way up to percent of it, and then actually to keep percent. And so it would still be between us and the other owner, even if we acquire this other business, as long as we help him with that. And the reason I want to tell you about this is not part of the initial deal, but this is a huge part of our growth plan going forward. If we were to acquire something like this, is just bringing this additional value into the picture, because we could take this business from the size it's at now, which it's doing about $2 million a year in revenue, and we can add about a little bit over $1 million a year in revenue from this HVAC company. That's if neither of them grow at all. But if they're both working together and under the same operations and management, all of a sudden, all the HVAC customers, we can sell duct cleaning to them because the two kind of work together. And all the duct cleaning customers, we can sell HVAC services to them. And so all of a sudden, these two completely different pools of customers, affiliates, referral partners, employees can share resources, and we can sell to customers going both ways and probably grow the two companies as one faster than either of them was growing before. And the reason this opportunity exists is really simply because we chose to educate the owner that we're thinking about buying part of his business here. We chose to educate him on some of this stuff and help him see these opportunities. And he decided to share with us, you know what, my neighbor was thinking about selling a couple of years ago. Now he's thinking about selling again. And I think this could be a good opportunity for us. I know him well. I know his company. It's a good company. By the way, this company's been around for more than 18 years and they do no advertising, no marketing. It's crazy. They have 3 Google reviews. I couldn't even find their website when I searched for them, but they're doing $1 million a year in revenue. And so my point here is, like, you can create these opportunities out of thin air where people didn't think they were possibilities before, just by bringing your negotiation experience, your understanding of mergers and acquisitions, and how these things come together and where the opportunities are. But you absolutely need to understand what levers to pull, what's on the table, what kind of skills and positioning, give you negotiating power in the deal. And that's all super personal to your positioning in the deal that you're working on. So if you want to do your first or your next equity deal with a real business like this, we've got a school community where Grant and I and others in our network give you incredibly personalized help finding and closing deals just like this on live calls every single week. You can get access to this community at the link in the description below. And the first week's on the house. You can just give it a try for free, see if it's a fit for you, try it out. But the key element for you to get a deal done like this is going to be putting in the work to bring it together. I'm putting in the work by showing up to a meeting like this, by getting to know someone like this, getting to know the insides of their business, and showing and casting a vision of what it could actually look like if these companies worked together and came together. And what we'll probably do if we're buying this business, we'll go out and bring in investment to actually cover the cost of this business. That's if the owner of the business we're buying doesn't want to buy it himself. We might even have more negotiating power to buy more of it or to earn more of the business overall if we are bringing more of the capital to the table. So we'll see how this all plays out, but it's exciting how this is coming together and just where the opportunities are. I just got back from this big meeting, which is, the next step of this negotiation. So we had a meeting with this business owner that we're trying to acquire his business, right? It was myself and my partner Grant that met with him this time. And he gave us his numbers. And so here's where things get tricky, because we can't really go by traditional valuation methods on this one. He had 2 years of pretty significant negative profit before 2024. So 2022 and 2023, he was in the hole pretty significantly. So we have to figure out how to evaluate this business. And typically what you do is you take an average of the last 3 years of profit and you put that together to get an idea of like, what is the profit of the business right now? How does that look? How do we kind of factor that into the acquisition and what's being looked at, right? So that's what we typically do. But when it's negative, it was so negative that even though he had this great year of profit last year, it would still be an average of a negative number that we took as like the average profit. So we're kind of having to like throw that out the window and say, okay, well, let's call the profit 0 and let's just value it based off of the assets of the business. So there's about 130 grand in assets of this business. And so we would be looking at buying percent of that and then earning in another percent, and then also acquiring another business and then getting, keeping percent across the board. But buying in that initial percent, that's what has to be decided on right now and evaluated. So what we're probably going to have to do is say, okay, well, we don't want to literally say a negative valuation and say, hey, you have to pay us to even get involved with this business, because we've built a relationship with this guy. We don't want to be predatory, and it just wouldn't make any sense for him anyway. He's asking for some cash consideration. So what we're doing now is we're most likely going to pitch something where we discount the value of the assets 50% in exchange for basically, forgetting about the negative valuation, just as a way to figure something out, right? Because we're taking a lot of risk getting involved in something like this too. Even though it was profitable recently, it's going to take work to make sure it stays profitable and continues to be profitable. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I've got his initial proposal here, or his initial counter proposal. So he took some chicken scratch notes on what we initially pitched. This was our initial proposal that we gave him. He kind of chicken scratched on that. And then he gave us this counter proposal where we would be earning percent with the initial buy-in, and then we earn in another and then another with different performance metrics. So what I'm about to do now is sit down and kind of start working through his list of assets and figure out what this counter proposal looks like. The other thing that we got from him today here is his financials. So we've got all those right here, last 3 years of financials. So I'm going to be working through those and just getting another take on it, another glance through, and putting together a counter proposal for his counter proposal. We'll see what happens. I got to update you on what's been going on lately. Right now, I am driving to go meet my M&A lawyer, mergers and acquisitions lawyer, because I want to go over our recent plan with him and kind of where we're at. Over the last couple of days, we've been in communication with the owner of this business still. And we met with him at the beginning of the week. We sat down, and this was like the real coming to terms meeting. So we went over the fact that there's not much of a valuation to the business right now because they had a couple of negative years. But that being said, they had almost 200 grand in assets. So what we came to him with is we were going to put a 0.5 multiple on the amount of assets that they have and assess it based on that, to account for the fact that technically based on the cash flow, that would be like a negative to the valuation. So this is where, when you're evaluating a business, it is art and science. It's not completely clear cut exactly how it should be, because there's a lot of extenuating circumstances, right? Like if we were to actually negatively factor all that in, even though he had a positive year of profit last year, if we were actually factoring it in like how it should be, then the deal just wouldn't make any sense for him. The valuation, like it would basically probably work out to either it being worth zero or him having to pay us to take equity in it. Terrible deal for him, just doesn't make any sense. So that's where the art comes in. We had to make an offer that made sense for him. So we went through these numbers with him, still worked out to be a little bit lower than he was really willing to stomach. But that being said, he agreed to actually gift us percent equity to get started because of the work that we've put in and because of the over delivering. This is a massive principle in business that if you're watching this, I really want you to like hone in on, understand, and recognize the importance of. We massively underpromised and over delivered on this initial contract because we knew that proving ourselves would unlock its opportunities for us. And he said in our conversations, he said, I know the kinds of guys that you guys are. I know that you'll get in and make this happen. And it's only because we already proved ourselves. So he ended up deciding to gift us percent equity as long as we can kind of make a valuation that's a little bit more generous to him for the part that we are buying. So that makes a lot of sense for us, right? There's a give and a take to it. And then the rest of percent to make the full will be performance metrics that we've agreed on that seem fair on both sides and that will make it really worthwhile to us if we hit them too. So I'm very excited. Right now, I'm going to review the letter of intent that I put together. I wrote up a letter describing all of the terms, all of the requirements that we have. We had about 6 or 8 different requirements for this to be a deal that works for us, meaning things that like stipulations that we have to have as part of it, and also things that he has to be willing to do, decisions he has to be willing to make, and things like that, for this to be something that goes the distance for us and that makes it worth our time and our effort and our money, for us to be, for this business to be growing. So I'll keep you posted. We'll see how it goes.
What you're seeing here is the remnants of a little celebration moment. We just made a minority acquisition of a pretty major commercial services business. Yep. The very one that I've been talking about in this video. And so Grant and I had a lot to celebrate. We've been in the trenches and we realized we haven't really like come up for air and like celebrated all the stuff that's been going on, but it's been a great year. And we basically have inked this deal at this point. Like we've made the deal. The next stage is like we literally go in on 2 days from now on Friday. We're going to meet with the owner to basically plan our game plan of how we're going to announce this whole new partnership to the employees of the business and what our game plan is going to be there. Yep. And so it's freaking real. And we're pretty excited.
Yeah, I think now is actually when the hard work begins, we've done all this stuff up until this point to get ready for the opportunity to sink our teeth into a company and start working to grow it. And now we have this chance with this incredible platform company who's doing great in the commercial side, is starting to kind of just brush the surface on the residential. And we're really excited to pour our time and energy and attention into developing that residential arm and really seeing where the company can go.
And some of the stuff that's been really cool so far is like, as you've been hearing up to this point, like we obviously started this with a advisory package that we put together. And our whole big thing was how can we help this business grow and just do whatever it takes to like get them to that next level, to be more profitable and keep growing and scaling as a company. And Grant and I were pretty sure that we were right, that if they added a residential division to this company, that it would do pretty well. And it was really cool because a month after they added this residential division, they did $30,000 in the first month in just the residential division with no ad spend. Yeah. And they've basically got their Google ads set up so that we could just turn them back on anytime and get them running and then have ad spend going and just recruit people. And so like we've gotten basically a piece of this business, and that piece is worth what it's worth now, which is not nothing. It's worth a decent bit. It's already great to have a piece of this business, but we've also got this access to this thing that it's not, like, don't get us wrong. It's going to take some work. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be hard, but with some work that we already know is going to work and have seen work in other places, other businesses we've seen and looked at and been part of, we know that with these few levers that we can pull and put some gas on the fire of, that all of a sudden this business is going to grow fast and it's going to like really expand and scale. And so we're getting a piece of something that we know we're very, very confident is going to be worth a lot more very quickly and create a sellable asset within the space of a few years, which is the owner's goal right now.
Yeah. And I think the best part of all this, speaking about the owner for a second, is that, this is the type of business that we want to be working with. It's kind of a family owned company. It's a business that they poured a lot of time and heart and energy into. And their mission really is to grow a company that they can take care of the people that they care about and see the individuals who have put in a lot of the time and the effort in being a part of sort of the grinding phase, like getting to the point where they get to experience massive success. And I think that's what's most exciting, for both of us, is getting a chance to sort of see their eyes open on realizing like this is a company that can go from being kind of a smaller kind of mom and pop business to really being a contender in the space and exploring what that really means for them. So this is lining perfectly with what we set out to do from the beginning. And now we get a chance to really stretch our legs a little bit and see what we got in the tank. So
yeah, it's really exciting. And as kind of an update on like how this deal came together, because I want you guys to understand, like, Grant always said, what do you always say? We make plans
and God laughs.
So that's what happened. Like we make plans and God laughs. So like we came into this negotiation, thinking maybe it's going to be one way. Really, we came in just thinking, oh, this is just going to be like an advisory thing. And in our case, God laughed in a great direction for us.
Amazing.
And we got this opportunity to actually get ownership in this business and kind of like told you so far, like how some of the negotiations have played out. But what happened is we put out this offer to get 5% of the company in different percent tranches. So, percent that we were going to start out with for like what we're putting in as sweat equity, another 10% that we can unlock with revenue milestones, and then that portion that was a buy-in. And interestingly enough, like you never really know what someone wants on the other side of the negotiation table. That's why it's so important to like be flexible and not be so attached to one particular outcome. Because the part that like was a little bit stressful for us, which was like some kind of buy-in, was not the part that was like stressful for the owner. It was actually the part that like he didn't really want to have a buy-in at the current valuation he's at. Right. And so we put out this proposal and he kind of was just like, let's just get started. I'm going to give you guys the 10% that we talked about. You guys can hit these 2% milestones, but I don't really want that buy-in portion. I believe that it's going to get to a bigger valuation. We'll all sell it together later down the road. And for us, like, of course we want that stab at the extra 10%, but it also wasn't like a deal killer for us. Right. And it wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah. So it was totally like a deal that we were willing to make. Yeah. And like, just having that open conversation, having the hard conversations and like being willing to get into like the nitty gritty of it is kind of like how we were able to get that deal done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it aligns with the mission that we set out to do when we started doing this in the first place, which was really to try to find business owners that we could help propel to that next level, that next phase, and to also go through I should say go around some of the obstacles that we've faced internally, growing our own businesses and trying to find ways to hit that next level. And I think the best part about, this particular deal is realizing like, where we're at right now versus where we're trying to go. We can get caught up on all the minutia and the small details of what we think it's worth today. And I think a lot of people would walk away from deals like that who are only focused on the money, but we're really focused on, what can we do to create real growth for everyone that's involved? And of course, money's going to come along the way. But I think we were able to look at the situation, look at the business, look at the numbers that were out there and say, okay, we really believe with what we can bring to the table, it's going to go so far that percentage, that small back and forth is not really that important. And I think the owner recognized that and appreciated that and saw what we had to bring to the table and wants to see where we can take it. And so I think that aligns really with our goal, with our intention in setting this out, which is just, we're business owners, we're operators, we've run companies, we want to do the same thing for others and really help them, see the opportunities that maybe they have blind spots to. So this is a great chance to do that.
It is. So we'll see where this takes us. But for now, this has been the remnants of the evening so far. A lot of celebration, a lot of good times, and just a lot of like reflection on how it's gone. 2 days from now, we're going to be making a really major game plan. And like Grant said, this is where the hard work actually begins. Like, make no mistake, buying the business is not easy, but it's also but it also is the easy part. Yeah. The hard part is actually something I'm going to reveal to you in just a second. I promise. Don't you worry.
I will tell you what the hard part is. But if this story resonates with you and you're thinking either I want in or I want help, we've got both options for you just linked below. 1 week of our school community is on the house, where Grant and I give personalized help every week on live calls to do deals like this, and advisory packages on scaleforsale.com, where we'll dig in and help you grow your business. But either way, you can go celebrate with whiskey and cigars just like this. But back to what you were waiting for, the real hard part of this is going to be
actually like operating a company, running a company, and being responsible for that shit every day, no matter what's going on, no matter what the circumstance is, and having like, what is it? How many days from today is Monday? Like 5 days from today. 5 days from today, we're looking a room full of people in the eyes and telling them
It's time.
it's time, and your futures and your livelihoods are partially dependent on us now. And that shit is no joke. But we've been there before, and we have an idea of how that kind of thing plays out. And we're excited to take a bite at the apple and just keep swinging.
Yep, beyond excited. And I think it'll be a lot of fun to look back at this video, a year from now and see the changes that have happened, the people that have grown, and also the twists and the pivots that you don't plan for in the beginning. So I think this is a really great opportunity for us to get started with a great business and a great section. Super looking forward to what the future holds.
Let's go.
It's a little before 5:30 in the morning right now on a Monday. This is the day. This is the day that we go in and we first talk to the team about the fact that we are partners of this business now. And it's not like we don't know this team or anything. Like, we worked with this team for a month, really, really hands-on, and like have stayed in good touch since then. And they want us on board. They've told us they want us on board. But this is the day. I can't even explain like how excited I feel right now. Like, this is something that Grant and I have been working towards for a really, really long time. It took a long time to find the right business with the right bones, the right infrastructure, and the right situation for us to be able to come in and get some ownership and really, really build for the long term. And I laughing because I'm just like, I can't even like contain my excitement right now, because I just know what this means for us for the long term. Like, we've been getting all these reps in and all this practice in, helping businesses like build legitimate long-term value into their business. Value meaning like sellable value, like stuff that translates to I can sell my business for a lot more money. And so we have this incredible playbook and like many things specific to this industry. And I just know that we're about to tear it up and grow this business so fast, so much faster than it has been growing, and make it worth so much money. And like, it's going to be the catalyst for taking us into a whole different stratosphere of not only wealth, but like the game of business. Something I talk to a lot of people that I like have conversations around private equity and like some of the stuff that we're working on. It's like a common theme of conversation when I'm talking to business owners that are thinking about doing private equity deals, and like why I'm like, a lot of times they'll ask me, why am I in this? And like, why do I work on this kind of stuff? And like, what gets me interested in it? And it's really not just about the money for me. It's like, this is playing business on the highest level. Like, I woke up this morning and I'm treating this like a Super Bowl Sunday. Like, this is an athletic feat for me, like coming in and just being the best that I can be at business. And so I'm just so excited right now. We go into their office in a few hours. I'm headed to go get a workout in right now first, so that I can be sharp, on top of my game, and just really, really ready to be at my best for this team, and to be able to give them the best and just do the best that I can. And again, I could not be more excited, because this is the start of a whole new era. Meeting Friday went really well. We had a great meeting with the owner of this business. He's super excited to get started. We're super excited to get started. It is now Tuesday after that Friday. And so we not only had that meeting and kind of negotiated down all the little remaining details of like how we were going to get started. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of negotiation to be had. Like, the thing is already inked. But we had to figure out some of the like really specific details of how things are going to work. And we had to figure out how we're going to get started, what the game plan is. And so today's conversation revolved around our strategy finally. I'm not going to cover too much of this. It's not like I'm going to document the entire running of this company. That would be way too long of a video for y'all, but I wanted to give you a quick rundown of like what the key parts of this strategy are as we get going here, because I think this is important for you to understand. If you're going to try to do something like this, you need to know what kind of business even makes sense for you to try to acquire, and like what kind of strategy would be a fit for you to implement as the acquirer, as the new partner of this company, one of the new partners of this company. For us, Grant and I both have a really strong background in recruiting. I ran a staffing and recruiting company for a couple of years before selling it. Grant has done a ridiculous amount of recruiting and training for his companies, especially around sales positions, but all kinds of positions. And so we know recruiting, we know hiring, we know how to do that. And this is a company where they needed a lot of help with recruiting and hiring. They just needed someone to really dive in and take point on that very quickly and just do what needs to be done. So today's Tuesday. Over tomorrow and Thursday, which are the third and fourth day respectively of us being in this company, what we've done so far is we have already kind of revamped some of the website optimization and some of the ads to get a bigger influx into the residential area. We've kind of given the team a recap on that. We also have locked down a potential new company to acquire on the HVAC side of things. Our goal is to hopefully do that. So we acquire some of the equipment, someone really with an ownership mindset that can lead the division and hopefully already has some techs under them too. We've kind of like lined up someone that they're already working with and already subcontracting out that we can hopefully acquire. We're going to set a meeting with them. But we also, over tomorrow and Thursday, have 9 interviews set up with candidates for duct cleaning technicians and HVAC technicians so that we can actually really, really start taking on a lot of work, growing the residential division. There's just plenty of work to be done and to be had there. And so the bottleneck right now is this recruiting, and we want to fill those positions as quickly as possible. Any time wasted not having someone in those positions is just time lost and revenue lost as far as we're concerned. And we want to hit those milestones, unlock our equity, grow this company, make it more profitable. And this is the way to do it. We'll see how it goes. Today is the day that we're going through the operating agreement that I put together for us to have with the owner of this business, where it outlines everything about our agreement together and just really gives us something, basically a Bible to go off of. Now, if you're new to business, if you haven't done this before, your operating agreement is basically the document that just governs the way you run the business. And if you don't have one, you need to have one like yesterday. Like you really, really need to have one. I have one in every business I have because I learned the hard way early on in business that things can go quite wrong if you don't have one. And even if you have one that's not that good, things can go pretty wrong for you and can get pretty bad. So in front of me, you see operating agreement. I'm not going to show the fine details of it as I go through, but it is lengthy, right? There's a lot to it. There's charts of ownership and charts of responsibilities and duties and all of this stuff, about 14 different sections and a few exhibits of how everything works. And to be honest with you, I mostly use ChatGPT to put this together. I wouldn't recommend this for a beginner, and I'm probably still going to get it reviewed by a lawyer before it's finalized or anything. But ChatGPT can really help get you there, at least get you most of the way you need to go. I use one, I'm going to show it right here. I use one called Law and Contract. Looks like this. Looks like this, Law and Contract. And this one's been pretty good for me. It helps you kind of walk through things. You have to be very thorough with it and really ask, okay, what else should I put? What else makes sense? And the reason I wouldn't recommend this for a beginner, though, I talk to a lawyer first and maybe find some templates to go off of. It's because you're just not going to be able to think of everything you need. You haven't been through the life experience and the situations in business to understand what to put. But as someone who's been through a lot of operating agreements and seen things go sideways a few times and kind of learned my lessons from that, what I'm doing is most of the work through ChatGPT, then probably a final approval and just review by a lawyer. But that's what the next step is. Going to go print it off and review it with the owner and see what notes he has, if any, and then maybe have to go back to the drawing board. So I'm standing right outside of the office, walk around and tell you a little bit about what just happened. So in my hand is the paper copy of the operating agreement that inks this whole deal. So I'm not going to show you the whole operating agreement. That's private information. But what I will show you is right here, signature page. There we go. We got all 3 signatures, myself, Grant, and the owner of this business, which we're now owners of the business too. So that officially makes us, me and Grant, 10% owners of this business with options to get another 10 and then another 10. And we've got a solid plan in place to do it. I am so excited. Got a little video I'm probably overlaying here of like right after it happened, sitting in, you know, the crow's nest of the actual office. But I'm so stoked right now. It's been a long time coming. It's been quite a journey. We met the owner of this business back in February, did a consulting stint for the business over the course of all of March, negotiated with the owner for basically all of April and into May, and then came to an agreement maybe a week or two into May. And then we just started getting to work. We went back into the office and just started working, but it is now June 2nd. Took us this long to go back and forth on the exact terms of the operating agreement, have everyone's lawyers look over it, agree on it. And now we've got it signed, inked, and we're set and we're ready to go. We're getting to work. We're gonna grow the fuck out of this business. Let's go. Hang out in our community where Grant and I and others will work through all the types of things that I just went through and walked you through in this video. You know, we're helping other people do the same thing inside our group down in the description below. You can learn about it and join for free for a week on the house, you know, but only if you're serious and locked in, no half committed baby boys or baby girls. Literally do not go to this link if you're not for real and you don't want to actually do this because you'd waste your time and ours. But if not, we'll see you in there and see you on the next video, which could be this one right here if you want to learn about the kinds of things that you do once you actually have a business like this and you want to prepare it to be worth a shit ton of money.